How I Don't Work Here Lady Almost Turned Scary for an Off-Duty Police Officer, by user Quiet Borderline. This story came from my friend's husband, Adam. And yes, this is Belle's husband. Belle's my retired Army officer friend. Adam worked as a police officer from the late 90s early 10s until being injured in the line of duty. One December evening, Adam was finishing up his shift when Belle, who he was dating at the time, called him, asking if he could pick up a couple of last-minute things for a Christmas party. Since the Mart of Walls is about a mile away from the station, Adam decides to go there. He's wearing a thick dark blue coat over his uniform, complete with vest, belt and gear, including his sidearm, radio, handcuffs and baton. He's in the dairy section, getting some cream when he heard a woman say in a low voice, "Excuse me." Adam turns to look. There's a young woman, maybe college age, dressed in jeans, a thick coat and heavily pregnant. Definitely not the Karen type. "Can you please help me get a TV from the back?" Adam is about to use the classic "I don't work here, lady" line when he sees the fear in her eyes. Now on high alert, he leans close to her and whispers, "What happened?" "I'm scared of my husband. He just shot the officer who pulled us over." Adam looks up and sees this strung-out looking man, who looks like he hasn't showered in days, and watching them with, as Adam recounted, shark eyes. Thinking fast, Adam says loud enough for the man to hear, "I'm more than happy to help you, ma'am. Let me page the back and we'll get it in a minute. Hang tight." Using his cell phone, which wasn't as common as it is now, he texted a fellow officer who was still on duty, asking her if an officer got shot. When she confirmed it and asked what was going on, he told her what was going on, to alert the manager and to send a couple of units to the store. She responded to him that the units were on the way, the manager had been alerted, and to hang tight. Once he received her text, he said, "It's on its way to the front. I'll personally escort you there so the manager knows who it belongs to." So he leads the family to the front and makes eye contact with the manager. The manager, who recognizes Adam from previous excursions, comes over. Adam, keeping up the charade, says to the manager, "Boss, I think it'd be good to get the lady off her feet for a little bit while we get the car loaded." He said with a meaningful look. "It's going to take several minutes anyway." The manager nods and says, "Of course, come with me, ma'am. My office is just this way." Once the lady and the manager were safely away, Adam and the man head out to the parking lot. Just then, Adam spots the officers getting out of their cars and nods at them. The takedown wasn't as dramatic as you'd expect it to be. They recognized him and arrested him as soon as several outstanding warrants for his arrest were revealed. The officer the man had attacked survived his injuries, and the man got a nice long prison sentence for several charges, including attempted murder. The lady filed for divorce and, with Adam and Belle's help, was able to get home to her family. Last Adam heard, she was doing well. When she heard the story, Belle, as she put it to me, knew I met the man I was going to marry someday. Entitled Karen vs ex-Navy Aviation Pilot, by user Quiet Borderline. Mom and I were sharing IDontWorkHereLady stories, and she shared how she met my stepdad. I knew they met at an airport, but I didn't get the full details, until now. Several years ago, Mom was a brand new flight attendant, her dream job. She was heading to her gate, excited for her first ever flight as an attendant, when she gets stopped by our villain, Karen. The conversation went roughly as follows. "Karen, excuse me. Mom, how may I help you?" "Karen, I need you to upgrade us to first class." "Mom, oh, I'm sorry, but you'll need to talk to the gate agent. I'm a flight attendant." Mom could understand Karen's confusion because gate agents and flight attendants wear the same uniform. However, they're completely different departments. A gate agent can't do what a flight attendant can do, and vice versa. "Karen, I don't care. You're going to upgrade me to first class." Poking Mom in the chest, "Right. Fucking. Now. Enter our hero." Stepdad, who just so happened to be the captain of Mom's flight, was getting some coffee at a nearby shop, and he overhears Karen's entitled rant. He comes up. "Stepdad, what seems to be the problem, ma'am?" "Karen, finally. I'm Karen and I need to be put on first class on flight 123. "Stepdad, that's my flight. I'll speak to the gate agent after you apologize to my flight attendant for your entitled behavior, or I'll have you kicked off my flight." Now most people would agree to do this. But as you can probably guess, Karen isn't one of them. Instead, Karen then does the stupidest thing you can imagine. She tries to punch Stepdad in the face. What Karen and Mom didn't know is that stepdad is a Navy veteran who used to train fighter pilots and is in good shape. The next thing Mom knows, stepdad has twisted Karen around, had her arms pinned behind her back and calling for security. The flight ends up being late because Mom and stepdad were giving statements and agreeing to press charges. Karen ended up getting pressed with assault charges and getting banned from the airline. That evening, once everyone finishes up, stepdad comes up to Mom. Again, the conversation went like this. Stepdad, hey, I wanted to apologize for that. I heard you're brand new and I hope that hadn't scared you off from your job. Mom, Nat, I have 2 kids. It takes more than that to scare me. Stepdad, still, I want to make it up to you. Are you free this evening? I know a really great restaurant in town. Mom, I'd love to. A few years later, they got married. How I Don't Work Here Lady leads to a beautiful friendship, by user A Quiet Borderline. I was reminded of this moment recently. Given the terror Karens and Brads give us, I figured we could use some heartwarming. I worked as a photographer at a major theme park for several years and had just gotten off a long shift, having worked 3 overtime shifts in a row. As I was too tired to cook and was starving, I decided to stop at the grocery store where my brother worked and treat myself the best chicken salad, a piece of cake and a Diet Coke. I had grabbed my items and was heading to check out when I saw, out of the corner of my eye, a BOGO for semolina flour. Since I have a pasta machine and my brother had a hankering for lasagna, we make our own pasta, I decided to go grab some. While I'm debating how many packages of semolina to get, I hear a boy, let's call him Jason, call out. Jason, a quiet borderline? I turned to look. I should note that I'm still in my costume, blue shorts, a white button-up blouse, a brown vest and my camera harness. I look him over, thinking he looks familiar and say yes. Jason, don't you remember me? You took a photo of me in my Ravenclaw robes a few days ago. Now I've photographed hundreds of people on a daily basis to the point that I'd recognize people based on their clothing. He had come dressed as a student from Ravenclaw for his birthday. It's pretty rare, but not unheard of, that people show up wearing things from the other theme park. Me, oh yeah. Now I remember. You were celebrating your 8th birthday, right? Jason, yep. The pictures turned out great. Thank you so much. Me, you're welcome. Say, where are your folks? Jason, Mom sent me here to get a box of cake mix. Me, well let's go get it for her then. So we get the box of cake mix and I walk with him to his mom, Penny, Jason's 6-year-old sister, Annie, and their 1-year-old brother, Tommy. Penny immediately recognizes me and looks me over in surprise. Jason, Mom, it's a quiet borderline. She took our picture a few days ago, remember? Penny, oh. Yes, it's a pleasure to see you again. Me, it's good to see you again too. I didn't know you guys were local. Penny, we just moved to Florida. It's my first time at this particular store. Recognizing the harried look on Mom's face, I decided to be nice. Me, would you like some help? I know this store like the back of my hand. Penny, that would be great, thank you. Me, you're welcome. So we continued getting things on the list and I kept the kids entertained, asking them questions about their favorite books and movies and making recommendations about various places to check out. By the time we finished getting everything on the list, Mom was relaxed and the kids excited about all the local places. We get to the checkout lane, my brother's manager calls me by name. While she was scanning her items, she looked at the manager. Penny, a quiet borderline works so hard. Please make sure she gets a day off with pay. The manager and I look at each other, confused before it hits me. Me, I actually don't work here. My brother does though. We had a good laugh over it and I politely declined Penny's offer to pay for my groceries. However, Penny offered me a job as a babysitter, to which I said yes. That was maybe 5 years ago and we're still friends to this day. You must work here. You're Standing Up, by user Lenny Briscoe 8220. I don't have a car, so I regularly use the light rail in my city. I was on my way downtown to meet a friend and the train was pretty packed. I saw an older woman get on and I gave her my seat, and then decided I'd just stand since I was close to my stop. I'm playing on my phone and I hear a woman ask a question about a certain stop. I didn't look up, but then she asked again with an angry tone. I look up and she's staring right at me. I said, how do I get to such and such stop? Her attitude automatically turned me off, so I said, "How the hell should I know? I don't work here. You must work here, you're standing up. Now we are the center of attention on the train." I start pointing at other people on the train. "He's standing, she's standing, do they work here? I'm wearing a jacket and jeans. Where does it say metro?" It finally hit her how stupid she sounded, and she puts her head down because I was making some serious eye contact. I got off at my stop and she had the audacity to say, "You didn't have to be so rude," right before the doors closed. All I could do was laugh. Where did the beer go? By spread. A bit of context, I just got off a Christmas lunch with my colleagues, so I was still wearing black sculpt long sleeve, blazer on top it, and dress pants, and went straight to shopping for my Mills Christmas gifts yesterday at one of more upscale Canadian supermarkets that sells a wide variety of goods starting from food and finishing with high-quality clothes and fancy home appliances/decor. My Mill has a very particular taste, so I was taking my time to go through all the comfy clothes and beautiful home decor that I think she would love. I probably did at least 5 laps around each aisle to see if there's anything worth buying. I'm normally an extremely resilient person after working in hospitality for nearly 10 years, but our local Christmas shoppers seem to get the worst out of me. Here comes our main character, let's call her Barbara. I normally don't care about other people wandering around stores and mind my own business, but I couldn't help but notice my homegirl Barb right away. She came off as one of those classic entitled women in their early 50s walking around with her nose up, caked makeup with brutally uneven scarlet red lipstick, dressed like a retired hooker with a dirty blonde ponytail, reeking of one of those musty perfumes that you could smell from 5 aisles away. Barbara and I had spent a good chunk of time wandering through aisles in close proximity, and she consistently felt the need to leave nasty remarks about almost every piece of clothing she happened to stumble upon. I finally had enough of Barbara's presence and silently moved on to the home decor section, hoping that she eventually finds another atrocious piece of clothing to add to her wardrobe in peace and leaves by the time I'm back to the clothing section. Nobody owes me anything and I just let people be, unless they start directly bothering me. So, I'm back at the clothing section in about 20 minutes, I don't spot, or smell, Barbara anywhere, so after a deep sigh of relief, I continue exploring. The piece didn't last long. "Excuse me." Someone screeching from, quite literally, across the store, from the food section that's right next to the clothing one. I don't pay any attention to it visually and just make a mental note, as there are dozens of other people in the store, reminder, Christmas shopping, and I've already drained too much time and energy at that store by then. "Hello. Excuse me." I finally turn around and see Barb looking in my general direction while she's still at least 50 feet away from me, with about a dozen of other customers standing between us and staring at her with nothing but confusion on their faces. At that point, Barbara was getting on my nerves, so I just followed by increasing my distance and walked around an aisle hoping to create some sort of visual, and auditory, barrier with her. She finally stomped all the way to my back and yelled practically in my ear in the most unbearable voice, "Ma'am, where did the beer go?" I turned to her and asked right off the bat, "I'm sorry, but why are you asking me?" Barb, with a shipment container load of attitude, "Well, don't you work here?" "Me? In fact, don't." She instantly loses her aggressive confidence and looks like a deer in headlights for a moment, no less. With some sort of disgust in her face, she then starts rambling something off about me being dressed in my uniform, which made her assume that I'm an employee at the store. Needless to say, no employees at that store, except for the owner, had ever dressed formally. Neat? Sure. Formal? Don't think so. It's also not my fault that your clothing taste doesn't let you differentiate between a corporate uniform and a formal dress code, but that's a whole different conversation. Despite of the disgusting attitude and snarky remarks she kept throwing at me, I told her that as far as I know, they've removed all the alcohol from the store about a year ago because it kept getting stolen and they had no means of controlling it. Before I've even finished my sentence, she was already on to the next person, she assumed, was working there. She had finally found a staff member who told her exactly what I told her. I was never so relieved to get the hell out of the store. Edit, grammar, got lost in storytelling. English isn't my first language. Thanks for all the remarks.